Phrasikleia Archaic Greece. But you will say, come on, the archaic 550th 540th year before Christ, it is practically a classic. Time, yes, why? Because the 6th is the end of the 6th century BC, but this Greece is already entering the class. Yes, that's right. But art object, which we are going to talk about now, it is executed in spirit and in logic. Archaic Greece. The 8th, 7th, 6th, the century before our eras. I figured it out. Girl. Well, or a woman, a young woman. And this is her tombstone. You will say, the poor thing died so young. Probably not. Most likely she died an elderly matron, but forgive me, this Roman term would seem inappropriate. In relation to this, the exhibit, the museum, archaeology in Athens, by the way, let's take a look at it. Photo, this is how he looks like. A wonderful museum. You will be in Athens if you are in Athens. I just can't turn my tongue to recommend you a trip to Athens. If such a thing happens after all. Greece is well calm enough so far. This is for Russians. Then be sure to pay attention to the tombstone. They've been spotted. The category of this kind of tombstones. It's called the bark. Bark and chicken. Bark. Girls' courses. The young man is a young woman, but this tombstone was made during her lifetime, as the Egyptians did. This is Egypt's internal principle. And here, of course, she is. She was preparing herself for the fact that one day she would leave this world. And pay attention to her posture. Pay attention to the fact that she is holding something in her hand, which resembles a phallus, but it's not a phallus. This is a lotus flower. She's talking for some reason. Hemline. His peplos. For some reason. But the most important thing is, she smiles. Her smile. Typical. For this kind of tombstones. Her gaze is fixed somewhere. Into the distance. It passes over a spectator. Who is it not by chance that Boris Robertovich Whipper, already mentioned by us today, discussed this topic in the following manner. He says that manufacturing technology. Archaic statues in most cases, these were tombstones, not in all cases, bug in most cases what we got is tombstones. Kurosu. These are the tombstones of men. Bark. This is a tombstone of women. They were made according to a certain pattern, according to a certain paradigm, a four-sided marble block. I was drawing. Profiles were drawn face to face. A rear view was drawn and then the sculptor. I tapped this one. The bar. This block. We did what we did. And if this technology is followed, that's according to Boris Robertovich Whipper. The upward turn of the corners of the mouth was inevitable. They say this is the cost of production again. Appeal to the master's incompetence. To me, dear friends, everything is much deeper and much more interesting. Certainly, the answer to the question, it's hidden in religion. Archaic Greece. In Mycenaean times. At the very time when the flask was made of polychromy. A certain idea of what awaits a person has been formed. Behind the coffin. Nothing good. Spirit. Or, if you like, an image. Human. Some kind of cast of his body. Which should be distinguished from the personality. Human. Goes to Hades. Into the realm of the dead. Where he doesn't remember anything about himself at all. They don't remember. There were a small number of exceptions. Pleasing the gods. Which have been saved. Memory. Tiresias in particular. We are with you now. Let's get to know him. And all the others stayed. How is it fashionable to talk about a completely vegetable state now? Not remembering myself. Not remembering your loved ones and remembering your life on earth on the surface of the earth. Only if you make a special sacrifice to them. That's when their memory returned for a while. And then they're back. We were driving into a completely meaningless, useless vegetable state. And so they stayed in eternity, but at the same time I said for a reason that one could separate the personality from this one. Images from this cast. I can't bring myself to call it a soul. The Greeks of course said psycho. Yes, the Greeks of course said soul, but what did they mean? There is a personality under the soul. The personality of a person. And erase the personality. She could either disappear after death or by the grace of the gods. By the special grace of the gods. This was not served to every Hercules, Achilles. To such most famous heroes, who are the heroes? These are the descendants of the gods. From mortals. You mean him coming. This is not Alexander Matrosov at the embrasure. These are people. The aristocratic class of Bowl. Descendants of the gods. Here they were, by the special grace of these very Olympic gods, able to go to the Champs-Élysées. The Champs-Élysées in Paris are named after Elysium. Honor. Islands. Which were called the Champs-Élysées. There are these personalities. They were in bliss. And their fingerprints. Their image. Their eidos. Stayed. And Hades in the realm of the dead. Fool by fool. And without memory. It was a fragment from a wonderful film by Andrzej Konchalovsky, The Adventures of Odyssey, an illustration of what I just said. So, to get to Elysium, to get to the Champs-Élysées, there are not many chances. More precisely, very little. And most mortals. This sad fate awaits the religion of the Achaeans, the religion of the Greeks in ancient times, the Greeks of the Bronze Age. The Iron Age is the last millennium before Christmas, and all that goes back centuries is the Bronze Age. The religion of the Bronze Age Greeks is a gloomy religion. A hopeless religion. Death is a nightmare. Death is nothingness, unconsciousness, and stupidity. Except for rare ones. Exceptions. It couldn't go on like this for long. Something had to happen. And death had to be overcome. And so it happened. But how? And here is the answer to this question. In the mysterious world. Eleusis. What is it? This is a city. Not far from Athens. In hundreds of stages. From Athens. Here we have with you the hero city of Athens. And here is an ancient road, but today it is a modern highway on which buses run. And here he is Eleusis, 100 stages, 19 and a little kilometers. The road began, and accordingly the solemn procession began. From the Kerameikos Cemetery. In Athens. Every spring. The so-called great Eleusinian ones were performed. Mysteries. What is it? This is a tribute and, of course, a performative reproduction of history. Which happened in the old days before. Achaean. The invasion of Crete is unknown when, but apparently somewhere around 2,500–3,000 years before the birth of Christ. I will not retell it to you. Creature. The Eleusinian mysteries are very long. What is their religious mechanics, after all, and this is not my professional mission. The answer to this question will give you. Andrei Borisovich Zubov is brilliant. Vedas. The historian is an expert on the religion of ancient Greece on his website. He has published several dozen entries. Lectures. According to the religion of the peoples of antiquity, it is incredibly interesting. According to the religion of Egypt, according to the religion of Syria. On the religion of ancient Rome and on the religion of ancient Greece in particular, listen and enjoy what Andrei Borisovich did. Zubov is a civil feat. All lectures are freely available. In the selection, you type Andrei Zubov for free in Google. And then you get to his website. And we are continuing the conversation with you. So, what is remarkable about Eleusis? What is this city? In which the goddess Demeter is the goddess of fertility. I lost my daughter Persephone. That's according to the legend. Here in this place. Near these crumbling caves. And the accident, unexpectedly. The earth opened up. It was late autumn. A quadriga of horses rode out and no one jumped out of the chariot, grabbed Persephone, and dragged her underground. It was Hades. Tsar. Underground. Kingdoms. Demeter didn't see what happened. She only heard her daughter scream. And then everything went quiet. For many years. She was looking for her. She was trying to get it back. But in vain. Then. It's all the same to her. Succeeded. She found out. What turns out to be her daughter's disappearance. These are the tricks of Zeus. Hades came to Zeus and said, "Well, what is it you Olympic gods you all have? Girlfriends and friends. You all have beloved lovers, and I'm sitting alone underground is not good." "Calm down, brother," Zeus said. "We will settle this issue now." Well, then what happened was that it was him. You see, he's a girl. Take it. This metaphor. What? Hades dragged Persephone underground, which means she's dead. She turned out to be a wife. The king of the underworld kingdom of the dead. But Demeter. She was so angry. What has she announced? First of all, she leaves Olympus. And secondly, on the ground, not a single tear will rise. While you, "Dear Zeus, won't you give me back my daughter?" "Calmly, calmly, calmly," said Zeus. "Now we will settle everything. I talked to Sid and he says absolutely. The problem came out. I'll have to return it." "Good." Hades said, "I'll let you go, Persephone." And he let go. But finally, he gave her a grenade and said, "Have a taste. Before the road." She said, "I don't want the whole pomegranate, but I'll eat a stone." I ate one pomegranate stone. After Hades announced, "Aha, I ate it. So you're going to come back to me. Every year. 9 months. You will be on earth with your mother. But for 3 months. You'll be coming back to me. But it's not hard to guess. What is it? Metaphor. The changing of the seasons. It's warm and sunny and you can swim. And only 3 months of winter, December, January, and February, everything begins to bloom already. Everything begins to blossom at the end. February. It's so romantic, if you will, very beautiful. History, the history of the fragment of the Nephod. But Persephone, while I was looking for my daughter, and while I was trying to claim my daughter, I was successful. She turned into an old woman. Joined the service. To the king of Eleusis. And there. I raised his son. And I tried, that's the key word, I tried. Grant him immortality. Smeared with ambrosia every evening. It is a divine nectar. She put it in the hearth fire and took it out, put it in and took it out. In theory. He was supposed to become immortal, but the maid saw what was happening and started screaming. And the case fell through. Then Demeter turned into a goddess. She said, "Stupid people. I wanted to grant him immortality. But it didn't work out and disappeared. From the king's house. Eleusis. However, after a while, and in memory about this story, the great Eleusinian churches were established in Eleusis. The sacraments. The great Eleusinian mysteries. On which miracles were performed. Real Odessa. Where did these mysteries take place in such a complex? It's very interesting, actually. This is the city. Eleusis is in the center of it. There was a building that looked like something The Egyptian temple. That is, the platform of the column of the column of the column. And the roof. This building was called the Lasterium TV Gallery. It was erected above the old temple of Demeter, which got the name, and on which. Here it is in the Nocturne. He is real, he existed, he really existed. And if we come to Eleusis, I was an Eleusis. And he made a completely indelible impression on me. We will find there's such a sign here, look dear friends. And there were a lot of nocturnes. Here they are different. The period of construction. But we are interested in this one with you. The oldest. And on which. He was inside. Erected over him. TV Gallery. When the Eleusinian mysteries were performed. At the most crucial moment at midnight in the dark, here you see now on your screen. And the Nocturne. Inside the pillared hell, inside the TV Gallery. Inside. A bright light appeared on Anactorn himself. It turned from yellow to white, completely dazzling. From the temple door. I went out. Goddess. Demeter. With a baby in her arms. But it would seem that this is the one. A baby to whom she tried to grant immortality but to no avail. No. Dear friends. Everything is a little different. The main thing for you and me right now is not that the main thing for us is that. Participation in the Eleusinian mysteries cost money and astronomical money. In terms of modern money, this is about 25 thousands of euros. Not feet nuts. Bribes were given. Buying a ticket. To the Eleusinian mysteries, that is, either the lucky ones who were given this could take part in the, or very wealthy people. Hercules. He took part in the Eleusinian mysteries. What the participants saw was strictly forbidden. On pain of death, they had to keep silent about what they saw. And what is amazing? They were silent. All. None of them let it slip. Aristotle hints at what happened in Eleusis. During the mysteries, such people were almost executed for this case. He barely got away with it. Hinted at. But you and I know. Remember what old man Muller bequeathed from the 17 moments of spring, what two people know, the pig knows. And none of them let it slip. So there were some very good reasons. So there was some kind of unconditional interest. To that. To keep silent. We will talk about this a little bit below. And now I would like to show you the view from space. Like that. Looks. This is the place. The former Listeria is also the former and on which the Temple of Demeter is inside the sheets of Orion. From a satellite. But the satellite is not very interesting to us. And we'll take a look at that place. Where was he himself and on which one directly? This is the place to pay attention. Basement. Pit. And above it. The Temple of Demeter itself towered. Why do we need this pit? Why do we need this basement? Most Greek temples had no basement. And tell me you. I think we can guess. This pit. It was made on purpose. There were mechanisms. Who created some very convincing illusions? Well, the Greeks are great masters of all kinds of illusions. It's unlikely. The thing is, at least, ourselves. Are you minesweepers? The Greeks were masters of all kinds of illusions. The people were also not blindly sown and just like that to deceive. This is unlikely to work. I do not know why this basement was needed in Nocturne. Maybe there were some stored there. Sacred objects. Maybe they were stored there. Some. Sacred oils, all sorts of different substances and so on. It is difficult to answer this question and now it is not fundamentally convincing for you and me. We are just that. That not a single person. I didn't let it slip. Everyone was silent like a fish on ice. Come on. Let's watch a short overview video of this place, very short, 20 seconds literally. Here was a TV gallery space on and a small section with Myrrhinous. Andrei Borisovich Zubov puts forward a hypothesis. Why didn't anyone blab when? Demeter. I went out with a baby in my arms. In a dazzling glow. The viewers who were nearby are free viewers who were nearby. Either Lestriganov himself or Lester, he did not let anyone in, but all those who crowded here. Around. This. The pillared hall. Have you seen it? What's here? In the roof. A blinding light appeared. People started shouting loudly. After which, everything was coming down. Something was happening incredibly. Something was happening completely unthinkable. What exactly? Andrei Borisovich Zubov suggests. What? Demeter. I carried it out on my hands. Baby. Christ. Not wrong. Demeter carried it out in her arms. Baby. You saw yourself. Did you see it? Himself. A little one. And it was impossible to make a mistake. And this is the circumstance according to Andrei Borisovich Zubov. Persuaded. Participants of the Eleusinian mysteries. In that there is no death. And what about the gods? Carrying you in my arms. I own your destiny. And they guarantee you that life is eternal. An old parable is appropriate here, which has nothing to do with the religion of ancient Greece and the art of ancient Greece. The Abrahamic parable. Such a sectarian one in a certain sense of the word. Man grumbles at God. God. Why when I feel bad? You're not helping me. And what makes you think that, my son? But because every time, when I feel bad, I see only one pair of footprints in the sand. That's right, my son. These are my footprints. And you am carrying on my hands. This is the metaphor. A burden on my hands. Here it is very ancient, and it is likely that it comes from Egypt. It seems. The hypothesis of Andrei Borisovich Zubov. The closest thing to the truth. Demeter was carried out of the sanctuary in her arms. You. It was so convincing. That's what you saw. People. Who took part in the Eleusinian mysteries. Have you seen it? They didn't read it, they didn't believe it. Have you seen it? I won't believe it. Until I see his wounds, until I put my fingers in his wounds, remember, yes. Thomas says. That's what's important to see. They saw their immortality. They saw themselves in the arms of the goddess. And if you blab about it, you will lose. His immortality. You will disappear. And you won't get in. To Elysium. You won't get to the Champs-Élysées. Even to Paris. Therefore, those who could not take part in the Eleusinian mysteries were silent. They believed. Seeing how people have changed. How gloomy. Concerned about death, the faces suddenly brightened up. And on the lips appeared smile. The smile of a man who has seen his own immortality. And how will we smile? In this case, laughing. So your mouth to your ears, at least with strings, well, somehow it's off topic. A smile should be, on the one hand, thank you to the gods, and Demetrios in particular. And on the other hand, they are very restrained. That's my opinion. Understanding. And from my point of view, a restrained European smile. This is from there. Because compromise is important. On the one hand, joy. On the other hand, restraint. And hope. Remember, what's left in Pandora's jar? Not in Pandora's box, it was a jug. Hope. She stayed. In this Kushi. So they saw their immortality. They know him. And they smile at the gods. Thanks to them. And welcoming. There. In the eternal. Lives. And the most expressive and solid. The most amazing exhibit. That's for sure. The same for use of glue. From Athens. The Archaeological Museum, but pay attention to one more detail of it. He is talking. The hem of her vestments. Mutualizes the hem of her peplos. Why yes, because she is nervous. Nervous. This is a solemn moment. This is the main moment in her life. She meets the gods. And she meets her immortality. She sees Demeter. With a baby in her arms, and this is her. In blue. What is the depth of the image? And how does it get? Surprisingly. When do we get to know each other? With this. The most interesting. The method. Overcoming death that has been mastered. The ancient Greeks. Hey race, what about it? Says my favorite. Andrei Borisovich Zubov. The very word elusus. The Greeks usually translated the word happy. The incident. And that's the name in itself. So it is significant. Other name. Elusus is an ancient name. Sucked. Laughing. Three whose is it? You remember that. Kozla, yes, Persephone, daughter of Demeter. She. Almost always in archaic Greece he is depicted with a smile. Very often for code reasons. With pomegranate fruit. I even remember several such statues in the Museum of the Acropolis of Athens. Or with a flower. Again, this is related to the sacrament, although there seems to be nothing to laugh at. Because well, see what it meant. This giving is tragic. But the victory happened without it, there was no mystery, so in the end. Smile. Any cola has a smile on its lips. It is no coincidence that the fact. They know the secret, they know that there will be victory, they know that death is being defeated. And therefore, smile. Greek sculptors. From the archaic time, they knew what they were doing. You could have left that smile off. When they escaped the Gorgon Medusa, there was no smile there. By the way, the Greek smile is very different from the Egyptian smile. The Egyptian smile is even less obvious, a little bit. Just a little. Calm faces. The dead walking for eternity. Toulon, you're with this one. I would say. Almost half smiling. Cola is already obviously an obvious smile, such a restrained smile on an obvious one. Such is the case. Feature. And again, the eyes are always fixed. Just above the horizon line. Scientists have speculated a lot at this hour about the Egyptian legal statue. But Attica is characterized by this category of vision. Colia sees. The initiate into the sacrament sees something. The whole Greek tradition is a tradition of vision. This is not a tradition of hearing. Yes, they have reached us. First of all, of course, a written work. Iliad, Odyssey, they were very important adhesions. But not the hymns. Pinda. But after all. In fact, Greek culture is a culture. Conduction. Culture is a spectacle. statues, temples, the beauty of nature. These are all images. For the eyes. From the eyes to the heart. Hence the open eyes. And a smile of joy. Something. Seen. A subtle mystic will say, as he later said in a Muslim place Zoom, what is the very vision of nature? There is a beautiful nature there. He tells me about you, that is, about God. But there was more here. They saw something like this. What do they want? Certainly testified by a Greek initiated into the mysteries. The networks of evil about them. Rescue.